I'm Batman. No, I'm not, but I do know how to solve problems. I have a framework that if you apply to the work that you're doing, you will be able to solve problems more effectively as well. And Batman is one of the best problem solvers that's out there. So let's turn you into Batman. Or actually, maybe even better, let's leverage your own inner Lois Lane to get better at solving problems. Let's simplify our approach to solving problems. We'll do it through a 6-part framework. The first thing I want to understand is what. What is the specific problem that I'm looking to solve? What's the specific problem that I'm looking to solve? Let's get clear on our definition. Second thing I want to understand is who. This is where things get a little bit more complex. It's who has the problem, who's impacted by the problem, and who cares about the people who have or are impacted by the problem. The reason we want these 3 perspectives is they may have different definitions of the problem. And if we think about it with their perspective of the problem, we'll actually come up with a more clearer definition. Next piece I want to get into is why. Why does the problem persist? And then what's the impact of solving for it? Why does the problem persist? What's the impact of solving for it? Why do we need to solve for it? The persist piece is kind of like that 5 whys approach. What's the root cause? Why did this happen? Why did this happen? Why? Channel that inner 2-year-old. So we're going to be a 2-year-old. We're going to channel our inner Lois Lane, and we're going to become Batman. And if we do all of these things, we might even look like the Penguin. Actually, I'll joke about this. This is my Mary Poppins approach to problem solving. And the first things we want to do before we get into how is know our what, our who, and our why. Our what, our who, and our why. Okay, let's get rid of the umbrella and let's move into the next stage. The next stage is how. Now, if you're honest with yourself and you think about any time that you run into trying to solve a problem, you will jump right from what into how. You won't do this work. You won't ask those very specific questions to gain context and determine whether or not that problem is even worth solving. So let's avoid that, go from what to who to why, then move into how. On the how side, we want to know how are they doing it today, current state? How might they do it differently in the future? Current state versus future state. Let's figure out what we're doing today versus what we potentially do tomorrow. The reason this is important is because if we can't identify how someone is solving the problem today or how we're solving the problem today, what makes us think that we're actually going to apply something in the future? Maybe the problem isn't that important. Maybe. All right, then we go from how into when. When do we need to solve by? Do we have to solve this within a 3-minute period? Is this like a crisis? Everything's falling apart? Do we need to solve it in a 3-day period? Maybe a 3-month period? Maybe a 3-year period? That will inform, so this is timing, when, time, that will inform what our short-term, medium-term, and long-term plans are. What are we going to do next? What are our next 3 things? What do we expect that to get us to in the middle? And where do we expect to be over the long term? I think of this in the context of 30, 60, 90, but it could also be 3 days, 6 days, 9 days. We are designing for success by figuring out short-term, medium-term, and long-term so we can execute on the stuff in the short term, break it down into smaller pieces, demonstrate that we're making progress, and then earn the right to advance into that midterm and longer-term stage. But we still design for success. This is problem solving simplified. Leverage your inner Lois Lane, ask questions, channel that journalist, that inner journalist of yourself. Be that 2-year-old, ask those why questions, figure out what's the root cause of this thing. And then if you understand the definition of the problem, the people that are impacted, why it's important to solve, what your current state versus desired state is, your timeline, and build out your plan, you will get better at solving problems because you will overcome blind spots, because you shift your perspective, you will get better at solving problems. This is how I simplify solving problems. Let me know how you put it into work. Thank you.